My arrogant boss fired me without warning, and the next day, I walked into a meeting as his new CEO. His smirk vanished as I sat across from him and whispered, "Looks like you work for me now." His jaw tightened, this should be fun. But the real shock came when he pulled me into his office that night, locked the door, and whispered, "Tell me you never felt it too." My heart pounded, because I had. I'm 38. I worked for a mid-sized tech company in San Francisco. Good pay, long hours, and a boss who walked around like he owned the world. His name? Mark. Tall, always well-dressed, always smirking. The type who remembered your mistakes more than your achievements. I started at that company 5 years ago as a software developer. Over time, I got promoted a few times, and eventually, I became a senior project manager. I wasn't the most outgoing person in the room, but my team respected me. I got things done. I stayed late, picked up slack, and kept things moving. My record was clean. Clients liked me. Colleagues liked me. But Mark? Not so much. At first, he acted like he tolerated me. He wasn't friendly, but he wasn't openly hostile either. But something changed around year 4. He started undermining me in meetings, calling out mistakes I hadn't made, assigning me ridiculous deadlines just to watch me scramble. And no, I'm not being paranoid. Even my team started noticing. One day, a coworker pulled me aside and said, "He's got it out for you." I don't know why, but he does. I kept my head down. I documented everything. I thought if I just kept proving myself, maybe it would blow over. I was wrong. One Friday afternoon, he called me into his office. I had a feeling something was off. He didn't offer me a seat. He just stood there, looked at me, and said, "We're letting you go." I was stunned. I blinked a few times and said, "Why?" He shrugged. "It's just not working out. You're not meeting expectations." I could feel my chest tighten. "Which expectations exactly?" He didn't answer. He smiled that same smug smile and said, "HR has your packet. Please pack your things by the end of the day." I left his office in a daze. My coworkers were shocked. Some of them looked like they wanted to say something but didn't. I packed my stuff in silence, walked out, and drove home feeling like a complete failure. That night, I barely slept. I woke up the next morning angry. Not sad, just angry. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't deserve that. I started texting some contacts, updating my resume, and reaching out on LinkedIn. I figured it'd take weeks to find something new. Maybe months. But then something wild happened. Sunday afternoon, I got a call. It was from Daniel, CEO of a rival company just a few blocks away from my old one. He said he'd heard what happened. Tech circles in SF are smaller than you'd think, and he wanted to meet. We grabbed coffee at Sightglass. He didn't waste time. He said, "I've had my eye on you for a while. I know how you operate. I know what you've built. We just acquired a majority share in your old company. We're cleaning the house." I stared at him. He smiled and said, "We need a new CEO to take over immediately. Someone who knows the product. Knows the staff. Someone who won't hesitate to make hard calls." I asked, "You want me to run the company that just fired me yesterday?" He nodded. Exactly. That Monday morning, I walked into the same building I'd left on Friday. But this time, I went to the top floor. New badge, new office, new title. CEO. It still didn't feel real. The HR lady looked like she'd seen a ghost. My old team? Their jaws hit the floor when I walked past. Some of them actually clapped. Word spread fast. Later that day, there was a scheduled strategy meeting. One of the execs had arranged it before the acquisition. And guess who was sitting at the head of the table when I walked in? Mark. He looked up, saw me, and smirked like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. I sat directly across from him. No smile on my face. I leaned in a bit and said, just loud enough for him to hear, "Looks like you work for me now." The smirk dropped. His jaw clenched. He said, "This should be fun." The rest of the meeting was tense. He barely spoke. I outlined the new structure, the upcoming layoffs, the department evaluations. He looked like he wanted to punch something. After the meeting, he followed me back to my office. I wasn't sure what he was going to say, but I didn't expect what came next. He closed the door, locked it, then turned to me with this strange look on his face. Not angry. Not smug. Just intense. He stepped closer. "Tell me you never felt it too." I blinked. "What?" He lowered his voice. "The tension between us. The push and pull. It wasn't just me. Don't lie." My heart started racing. Because he wasn't wrong. I never told anyone, but yeah, there was something. I hated how he treated me. But underneath all the frustration, I couldn't deny there had been moments. Glances. Silence that felt heavier than it should have. I always brushed it off. He was my boss. It was inappropriate. I was committed to my work, not some fantasy. But now? Now I was in charge. He took another step toward me. "I shouldn't have fired you," he whispered. I knew what I was doing. I wanted to push you away because I didn't trust myself. I stood up from my chair. "Mark, stop. This is insane." He nodded. "I know. I know it is. But don't tell me you didn't feel something too." "Not once, in all those meetings, all those late nights?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because maybe I had. I didn't respond right away. I just stared at him, my mind racing. Mark, this man who used to humiliate me in meetings, who acted like I was never good enough, was now standing in my office, admitting he didn't fire me because I failed. He did it because he couldn't handle whatever this was between us. I finally said, "Even if I did feel something, it doesn't matter. This is business. You work under me now." He nodded slowly, stepping back. "You're right. But that doesn't make it go away." Then he walked out, just like that. For the next week, things got weird. Mark was professional in meetings, but cold. He avoided eye contact. He didn't push back like he used to. He just complied. That smug confidence he always carried? Gone. It was like he was waiting for me to fire him. But I didn't. I wanted to. Every time I looked at him, I remembered that Friday. How humiliated I felt. How he just brushed me off like I was disposable. But I also remembered how sharp he was. As much as I hated to admit it, he was good at his job. And we had bigger problems. The company wasn't doing well. When I dug into the financials, it was worse than I thought. High churn. Low morale. Product delays. One department, Mark's department, had been overspending for months. No one noticed, or maybe no one said anything because they were scared of him. Either way, it was on me now. I started calling emergency meetings. Long nights. Weekend calls. I was sleeping maybe 4 hours a night. My assistant, Jules, begged me to slow down. I didn't. I couldn't. One night, I was in the office late, everyone else gone, when I heard a knock on my door. It was Mark. He had 2 coffees in his hand. "Thought you might still be here." I was too tired to argue. He walked in, sat down without asking. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to talk to right now," he said. "But I found something." He slid a folder across the desk. I opened it. It was an internal report, one I hadn't seen before. It detailed a quiet deal our CFO had made 6 months ago. A partnership that actually drained funds from our budget. And guess who signed off on it? Our board chairman. The same guy who backed me when I took this role. This wasn't supposed to be public, Mark said. But I overheard him talking on the phone yesterday. He's planning to pin it on you if it leaks. I leaned back in my chair, heart thudding. So I'm being set up. Looks like it. I looked at him for a long time. Why are you helping me? He shrugged. Maybe I don't hate you as much as I pretended to. I laughed, just once. Bitter. Tired. You sure had a funny way of showing it. Silence settled between us. Then he said, I was scared of you. I blinked. What? You were smart. People liked you. You were rising faster than I ever did. I didn't know how to deal with that. So I made it harder for you. I thought if I kept pushing you, you'd mess up. You never did. There was something raw in his voice. Not fake. Not performative. Just honest. And that scared me more than anything. Because as much as I wanted to hate him, I couldn't. Not completely. We sat in silence for a while. Just sipping coffee, both of us exhausted and too stubborn to admit it. Then I said, if you want to make this right, help me take them down. His eyes met mine. You want to go after the board? Not all of them. Just the ones trying to screw us over. If we're going to fix this company, we need to clean it out. For real. He nodded. I'm in. From that moment on, we started meeting late. Quietly. Gathering files, tracking calls, building a case. We knew we had to be careful. If word got out, I'd be seen as unstable. He'd be seen as a traitor. Together? We'd be accused of all sorts of things. We kept it quiet. Professional. But not everything stayed professional. There were moments. Late nights, close quarters. One night, we both reached for the same file, and our hands touched. Just for a second. But it was enough. The air shifted. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. He said, this is a bad idea. I whispered, I know. But we didn't move. I pulled my hand back first. We can't, I said, voice low. Mark nodded, stepping away like he agreed. But the silence between us felt louder than anything he could have said. The lines between right and wrong were already starting to blur, and we both knew it. We kept working. Days bled into nights. We uncovered more than just shady numbers. Turns out the CFO wasn't just making quiet deals, he was siphoning money into shell accounts, and not alone. A few senior board members were in on it. Fake contractors. Ghost employees. Millions, gone. I couldn't believe it. I'd trusted these people. When I first took the job, I thought they were backing me because they believed in me. But they were just protecting their own lies. They picked me because they thought I was a distraction. A smokescreen. The fall guy if this mess ever blew up. I wanted to confront them right away. Mark told me to wait. You've only got one shot to burn them all down. Don't waste it. We made a plan. Quietly pulled logs, emails, payment trails. All timestamped, all legally obtained, barely. But just when I thought we were ready, something happened I didn't see coming. My email got hacked. One morning, I walked into the office, and Jules looked at me with this pale, sick expression. Have you checked the news? I hadn't. She turned her laptop toward me. It was all over TechCrunch. New CEO under fire for secret affair with former boss. My stomach dropped. Attached was a grainy security cam still from the office. Me and Mark. Late night. Too close. Too obvious. The kind of picture you didn't need context for, it told its own story. The article didn't name names, but everyone in the building would know exactly who it was. I looked at Jules. Who leaked this? She didn't answer. Because we both knew. It was the board. They knew we were getting close. They couldn't destroy the evidence, so they tried to destroy me instead. Make me look compromised. Emotional. Irresponsible. Everything they'd accused Mark of behind closed doors for years. I was just the next in line. The HR department froze my access to internal files. Legal called for a review. The board scheduled an emergency meeting for the end of the week. I was losing ground, fast. I went to Mark's office. He was pacing, fists clenched. They played their hand, he said. But they moved too soon. They wouldn't leak this unless they were scared. I nodded. Then we use it. We spent the next 48 hours doing nothing but building the final case. We didn't sleep. We barely ate. We called in a lawyer Mark trusted, someone outside the company. Someone who wasn't on anyone's payroll but ours. We wrote a full report. Evidence. Timelines. A full walkthrough of how the CFO and 2 board members funneled millions into side accounts. We even found out one of them used a portion to buy property in Tahoe under a fake LLC. But then came the second twist. Jules. She came into my office that night, face red, tears in her eyes. I need to tell you something, she said. I shut my laptop and looked up. She took a deep breath. I was feeding them your schedule. I didn't know the whole story. They told me you were unstable. That you were trying to sabotage the company. They said if I helped them keep an eye on you, they'd make sure I got promoted. I didn't say anything. She kept going. I didn't know they'd do that. Leak the photo. Twist everything. I didn't know they were stealing. I thought they were just trying to replace you. I was quiet for a moment. Then I asked, why are you telling me now? Her voice cracked. Because you're the only person who treated me like I mattered. I was wrong. I nodded. Then help me fix this. So now there were 3 of us. Me, Mark, and Jules, working like ghosts in a company built on lies, trying to burn it all down before they crushed us first. The board meeting is in 2 days. They think they buried me. But they have no idea what's coming. The board meeting was scheduled for Friday 10 a.m. The leaked photo had already done its damage. Rumors were flying. Whispers in the break room. People staring when I walked past. But I walked in with my head high. Mark came in just behind me, briefcase in hand. Jules was already inside, sitting quietly by the wall. She looked nervous, but ready. The board sat in a tight row across the long conference table. Our chairman, Don Hastings, looked smug. The CFO, Richard Valles, kept his eyes on his tablet like none of this was worth his time. I opened the meeting. Before we begin, I want to address the rumor circulating this week, I said. Yes, a photo was leaked. Yes, it shows me in a moment of what looks like personal intimacy with a colleague. But that's not why we're here today. Don raised a brow. Then enlighten us. I glanced at Mark. He gave the slightest nod. I hit play on the TV screen at the end of the room. A slideshow of evidence began. Bank logs. Fake contractors. Property deeds. Emails between Richard and Don, joking about how no one checks the shell invoices. Their faces changed instantly. I narrated everything. Every name. Every file. Every timeline. Jules handed out hard copies to each board member. This is what we've been fighting for, I said. You didn't back me because you believed in me. You backed me because you thought I'd be too busy fixing fires to find the one you started. Richard stood up, red in the face. This is insane. No, I cut in. What's insane is stealing from your own employees, then trying to set up your CEO as the fall girl. Don slammed his hand on the table. This is slander. Mark stood up next. It's not slander. I used to be just like you. Arrogant. Ruthless. But you? You didn't just sabotage careers. You stole lives. The room exploded. People yelling. 2 board members left the room. One called legal. But the worst moment came next. Dawn looked at me and said, "You think they'll believe you after that photo? You're just a woman who slept her way into a power seat." Everything stopped. Mark stepped forward, fists clenched, but I raised a hand. I looked Dawn straight in the eyes and said, "You just proved everything I said." I turned to the rest of the board. "Decide who you want to be. Who you want this company to be. Because if you don't act, I will take this public." That was it. They voted on the spot. Richard and Dawn were removed immediately. A full audit was approved. Legal launched an internal investigation. The company wouldn't be the same. Neither would I. Mark and I didn't speak for 2 days after that. Not a word. Just silence. On the 3rd day, he came into my office. No smirk. No bravado. Just tired eyes. "I'm leaving," he said. I didn't ask why. I already knew. "Because of the photo?" "No," he said. "Because of us." There it was. He sat down. I crossed lines I shouldn't have. I blurred too much. "You didn't deserve any of this. You helped me survive it," I said. "But I also helped cause it," he replied. "I set you up to fail. I didn't realize until it was too late that I actually admired you. Maybe even more than that." I swallowed hard. He looked at me one last time. "I don't regret standing by you in the end. But I regret not seeing your worth sooner." Then he left. Jules stayed. She took a pay cut, voluntarily. "I owe you that much," she said. People talked for a while. Some judged. Some defended me. But time passed and the rumors faded. The company slowly healed. We rebuilt with better people, better systems. I kept going. Some nights I missed the fire Mark brought into a room. The way he challenged me. The weird tension we never really got to name. But I didn't miss the chaos. Or the damage. If you'd asked me a year ago where I'd be now, I would have never guessed this. I lost a job. Got it back. Uncovered fraud. Faced betrayal. Faced something even harder. The truth about myself. Power changes people. But it also reveals them.